Hi, I'm Louise, the model maker here at Timberkits, and I'm going to show you how to get through some of the trickier stages of building a Timberkits model. Today we'll be looking at the vintage car. Just want to show you something that's on page 8. It's making sure you get the mirrored pair the right way around for these two sides on the seat. If you put them together and they're like that, you know you've got them the right way around. If you've got them the wrong way around, you've got a gap in the middle. So place them like that and then move them and glue. Page 23 shows the front wheel assembly. I just wanted to show you how free moving the wheel should be. Now, to achieve that, I'm very generous with the wax around the beginning of the shaft, but not all the way along. And slide your construction on and put the spacer shown on the page of the instructions. Then a little dab of glue. Push this down, turning as you do so to spread the glue through. And if you spin the wheel now, it might be a bit tight. So just pull back slightly so you've got more of a gap until it does spin freely, but not too loose. And then you use what's known as the bearing closer. Little dab of glue there. Push it on. No glue on that one, as it says in the instructions. And just make sure it's still free moving. If it isn't, sand the end of that 6mm shaft down to a point until it does spin freely, because it will not work unless it spins as freely as that. Now on page 26 it shows you the front wheel assemblies being put together. It's not difficult, but you do need several pairs of hands, and I just want to show you how I do it. Push that through there, but not through there. Feed that in. And push all the way. There. Then wax the rear axle and sand. And push one end through there. Then you repeat the process of feeding that slightly through, pushing that on there, but this time you need to feed that as well. Push that into the hole there, if you can see. And that's it. Now on the next couple of pages it shows you the putting on of the rear wheels. I just want to show you, tip that over to the underside, and you need to thread this assembly you made earlier on. Now make sure when you thread it on you have the hole underneath that peg and not that way around. Thread on one of the small spaces as shown. Thread that on, all with no glue. There we go. And then put a tiny dab of glue on the end of that peg and push it into there. Make sure the glue doesn't go on the spaces. Then you can also at the same time a dab of glue, wipe it clean so it doesn't glue the surface. Push it onto that little peg there, but not tight. And the same on the other side. There. The last thing to do is to slide on without glue the two spaces shown. There's a little bit of glue there and there, and push the two wheels on. Now this is where I just want to show you, put a little bit of glue there and a little bit of glue there. I'll tip it to show you in a minute. There, and push the two spaces. Now I push it together against that part to make a nice tight fit, and the same on the other side. Use the bar to push it against. This should be free spinning. If it's not, push, so you have got a little bit of a gap. That should be free spinning, and if they're tilting slightly, just straighten them up. They're oscillating. And that's complete. I just want to show you how to do this assembly on page 36. This hasn't been glued, as you know. Just slide it on, drop it down with those two long sticks in between, and then, if I can show you, you're pushing that peg down into the block with the hole. Tricky there. And on this one there is another peg and a block, and you just need to, without glue, just put it into place and just leave it like that. We're putting the front axle on now, and I just wanted to show you a little technique I do. First of all, your cam, plenty of wax around the outside, thread him on and between those. Then before you put this one on, wax the whole of one surface. Thread on this piece, and then the final one. Push through to the other side and put the spacer on that end. Then when the glue has dried on that, I'll just show you, move this apart. So we've pushed the cams out the way, put a little bit of glue without getting it on these, if you possibly can, just around the main shaft. It's got a bit on there, and there. Then turn the handle and bring to get the glue right inside the hole in that cam, and push the cam slightly beyond the edge of this, because you don't want this rubbing and making a grating sound as you turn the handle. Put the glue on there, and then you're pushing this waxed edge up. It's difficult to see, but there. More glue. And last bit. Now when you turn the handle, you just need to check for oscillation. There. Just keep correcting it until it stops oscillating. What you're not getting is a grating sound against there. Okay, and leave to dry. But don't get too much of a gap there, because you'll be pushing the wheels off centre from where they should be, and then the front wheel axle, when you come to put it on, might drop off. So you do want the smallest gap you can get away with between there and there. Don't push it too far over there. Awesome.
1, 2, 3.
On page 38, when you're putting the connecting link on, when you feed it on like that, the first one, you should be able to turn the handle like that. If you get any kind of hitting or tightness as you go over the end points, just if you have a file, just file these out slightly larger. You should be able to tell which direction to do it by looking where it seems to be hitting. Or if you haven't got a file, sand these down slightly thinner. It will only be a slight bit you need, but it will just make it a much smoother hand turn. So you've glued this, and keep it in down position for the 2 crank handles, and then on the other side, generous blob of glue around there and around there, holding these the same at the other side. Glue them on at about 35-45 degrees, it's not exact, leaning at about that angle, both of them. And while the glue is still drying, feed these 2 over. And allow it to dry like that, although what I often do is turn it and get them straight and use that as a way of just pressing it. And then on the other side that will have then changed to a different angle. And when they've dried, I'll show you how you should be able to turn the handle and the whole thing will work. So when you've left plenty of time for the glue to dry and you've put the 2 spacers on, you can then slowly turn the handle and it should work. Yeah. Give you a quick demo of how to put the wheel assembly down on the base. Pinch these together, tip this up and over, and then feed that little 5mm shaft there into that hole there without any glue, just drop it in, and then feed that little 3mm bamboo through the hole there. Glue that in place and then wait for the glue to dry, but while it's drying, while the glue on that is drying, keep centering this up and testing the wheels slowly by turning them. They won't work until the glue has dried, but at least you'll get an idea if they're tipping off. They need to be running on these 2. So just keep adjusting it like this until you're happy as the glue is drying that both wheels are working. If when the glue has dried you find that one of the wheels isn't turning as well as it should, I tend to cut a thin piece of sandpaper, glue it around the friction wheel, and then it just seems to give just that little bit more bite for working on that wheel. It's just a little tip.